Okay, welcome to our Friday morning team call. And kind of funny, I'm getting a lot of text messages, Jennifer, so you know that say that doesn't sound like jazz, that sounds like funk. I mean, I must have, yeah, a lot, a lot of text messages. Nobody's saying they didn't like it. They just think it's more funky than it is jazzy. So, hey, guess what? It is Friday, and that means it's Sarah Perkins Day. And also, I've been meaning to get Robert Saleh, the head coach of the New York Jets, on this call for, gosh, over a week. And by video, today by video, not live, we're going to bring him on, and he has an important message for you. And, you know, I held off bringing him on because I thought it might be more appropriate after the jury's decision came in the Sitzer lawsuit. And of course it did. So this week you're going to hear from Robert Saleh. So topics for today are: Robert Saleh, are you a survivor, contender, competitor, or commander? Sitzer Burnett lawsuit. The Wednesday webinar, I went through an hour, actually 55 minutes, that I hope was fast moving for you on the kinds of things I would be doing and the way I would be thinking. And that, by the way, so you know, we have it in the deck here. That is being edited down. So edited down in that it's just being tightened up. Everything I said is right there. It's about 55, 56 minutes. And that will be available on a link we're going to give you here in a few minutes for you to access later in the day for those of you who didn't see it or want to reference various parts of it. Today, I'm going to be more specific on how to handle questions you may get from consumers, from your current clients, from possible clients when you're out interviewing for listing appointments, as well as from past clients that you sold homes for. So we'll be talking about that. As I said, it is Friday, which means it's Sarah Perkins Day. So we're going to hear from Sarah on the latest developments in the industry, as well as housing statistics. And Randy's going to come on at the end to talk to you about what will happen on Monday. Monday, very special team call, probably for 10 or 15 minutes. We'll show you the new learning management system we have, which I think you'll have a lot of fun with. It's designed to help you improve your skills with 72 Sold. Our tech department has worked for a couple of months on it, and I'm real excited, along with Marissa and Randy. Marissa and Randy, really, they outlined it. Marissa deserves huge credit on this. And so Randy will preview that for you at the end of the call today. And on Monday, you're going to learn about that. And then also on Monday, you'll see in a minute that we have Matt Verdon, who's going to do a little AI chat GPT training for you, actually a lot. So we'll have the Wednesday team call review of the Sitzer lawsuit outcome at Vimeo.com. So this was my Wednesday team call. So that's going to be available for you later in the day. If you just go in and put the URL, Vimeo.com/72 sold/Sitzer, you will be able to see the Wednesday. You'll be able to see the Wednesday webinar. Okay. And hey, yeah, it didn't work out for Arizona. Congratulations to Texas. You know, you guys just outplayed us. I mean, great job beating us at home like that. But hey, also great season for the Arizona Diamondbacks. And I just want to say congratulations to them. They're our partners, and they just had a phenomenal year. Nobody expected that they would even get into the playoffs, much less winning against Milwaukee, winning against Philadelphia, winning against LA, and then winning against Philadelphia. So great job, Texas. And so you know, we actually ran a really nice ad. It's somewhere here, a really nice ad congratulating the Diamondbacks. I want to mention to you, as I just did, that Matt Verdon will be with us on Monday with AI chat GPT training. And Matt is just a great presenter. So really, really looking forward to that. So don't miss the Monday's team call. And yeah, there's the print ad that we ran, just thanking the Diamondbacks for an amazing year. Jennifer and I worked late on that last night. Actually, Jennifer and I worked late, but she worked. She's the one that did the ad. And so great job on that, Jennifer. And, you know, just the kind of class act thing you do. And by the way, those are some of Jennifer's kids right there with the orange. So Jennifer was able to work her kids into the ad. Great job, Jennifer. I think that was a great idea. So let's get it started. So this, thank you, Dave McCartney. Dave McCartney is one of our amazing agents in Austin, Texas. And Dave, a couple of weeks ago I had not seen this video, was kind enough to send this over. And this has so much relevance to you right now in light of what's happening in the industry. So why don't you just take a look and then we're going to talk about it.
All right, man, check this out. What makes a competitor in your mind? Aaron, even after 20 years, you can learn something on this one. It's a good one, dog. Check this out, man. All right, 4 levels of competitors. All right, there are 4 of them. All right, these 4 levels represent a mindset that we all have complete control over. External factors like playing ability and injuries have no bearing on which level we stand. All right, what are these 4 levels of competitor? You've got commanders, you've got competitors, you've got contenders, and you've got survivors. I promise you, everybody in this room falls into one of these categories. At the bottom are your survivors. A survivor is someone who does just enough to get by. He coasts through his day and does not maximize his mental capabilities. This group loves taking the easy way out. They love it. And they're so fucking miserable that they will do everything they can to bring you along with them. The sad part is, every organization has at least one. And I promise you, you can't hide. The next level of competitor is a group of contenders. A contender is someone who is motivated by external factors like playing time, money, fame, or the person he's going against. He will only reach his potential if the external motivators are threatened. Third level, the one we seek, is a group of competitors. A competitor is someone who is internally motivated to be his best regardless of the situation. His place on the depth chart does not matter. Money does not matter. Fame does not matter. He is always trying to absolutely be his best. He can't be swayed because he's already maxing out his potential. This fucking dude is trying to PR every day of life. He's got a championship mindset. And when you have a championship mindset, you embarrass the shitty ones and you make the great ones look normal. Final one is a commander. He basically has all the traits of a competitor with one exception. He brings people with him. Which one are you? You can't hide who you are. Reality check for the offense, and I'll say this for the O. You were invited to a party by the defense, and it took you a little bit to show up. The defense pissed you off rather than, I'm going to hit the ground fucking running. But by the time you respond to getting punched in the fucking mouth, it's too late. It's too late. In a game, in any situation in life. Offense, thank the defense for inviting you to the party, and then defense, thank you for coming to the party, because now we can all get fucking better together. That's the mindset. Your teammates going hard, thank you for pushing me to go above my comfort zone. We want a group of competitors, and that's what we've been building the last 3 years, is a group of men who are intrinsically motivated to be their absolute best. It is a standard. It's a way of life. It's who you are. It's your DNA. Competitors. That's what we want. You guys good? All right, guys, all gas?
Okay, so let's start here. We're going to interpret this in the context of real estate, particularly in light of what just happened. So think about what just happened this week in real estate, and think about there are going to be survivors, there are going to be contenders, there are going to be competitors, and there are going to be commanders. It's a great metaphor. So I want you to think, before I bring this slide up, what does that mean? What is the survivor mindset? What is the contender mindset? What is the competitor mindset? And what is the commander mindset? And based on what you just saw in that video, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be? Because I'm going to talk to you about, in my view, what it's going to take to be what you want to be. Do you want to be the survivor, the contender, the competitor, or the commander? So let's take a look. Here's my opinion on how that should be interpreted in real estate. So take a peek here. So Think of this as a metaphor for real estate. The survivor. Yeah, that's the agent who ignores impending change, ignores impending change. And I'm going to go off deck for a moment on that, because it's not just the agent who ignores impending change. This is the agent who rejects change. This is the agent who fights change. This is the agent who tries to defend the old ways when it's clear there's a new way, and it's clear that the only group that matters has spoken. Agents in your office don't matter. Broker doesn't matter. Leadership in your company doesn't matter. I don't say that disrespectfully. I say what matters are the voice of the consumer. The rest doesn't matter. The consumer is the only thing that matters. How many times, over how many weeks and how many months and how many years have you heard that from me? I had a conversation once a while back with somebody, in real estate, leadership real estate, and it was about priorities. And as with most brokers in real estate firms, the priority is, well, my priority is my agents. My priority is my agents. And it's interesting because in this conversation, I said, I don't agree. And I actually will get up in front of my agents and tell them I don't agree. They are not my first priority. Do I love them? Yeah. I actually, in a business context, do. Everybody sees how hard I work for you, for my agents. But I hope this isn't a harsh awakening for me to tell you that you are not my first priority, and I sure hope I'm not your first priority. Because all of our first priority needs to be the people we serve. And if that's not the first priority of leaders in real estate, they are nothing more than survivors. And they're going to lose, they're going to lose, they're going to lose. And I think the court and the consumers sent a clear message. So you've got the survivors. And boy, there's way too many people in this industry right now with a survivor mindset. Take advantage of that. Take advantage of that. That's an opportunity for you. Now there's the contender, okay? Contender is the agent who reacts to impending change. And really, that's analogous to what Zillow was saying, even in football. That's the person, the agent, the broker, the leader, who just kind of reacts to what's going on. They're not necessarily head in the sand. They're not necessarily fighting it. The survivor fights it. The survivor defends the old way. The survivor defends the industry when consumers have spoken and said, this is not the way we want you to operate that industry. They've clearly spoken. How could you not know? How could you not know that that verdict was going to be that verdict? I have predicted that since 2019. How could you not see that coming? Really? But it's never too late to change. Fine. I've made many mistakes in my life, no big deal. But then when you make a mistake, what do? You realize it, you take accountability for it, and you change. Now, the contender is the one who's going to change. They're going to change. They're not going to fight it. They're going to change. But they're just going to be, think of it maybe like a pool ball, where you just get bounced around. They're reacting to what they see, and they're kind of trying to survive, maybe trying to do better than that, but they're reacting. Now we have the competitor. Now, the famous Gretzky quote, you guys all know it. You want to be an amazing hockey player? you're going to kind of figure out where the puck's going to be, and you're going to get there first, right? You want to get there before the puck gets there. That's the competitor. The competitor is going to get ahead of it, going to see the change and going to be where the puck's going to be where the people are going to be where the consumer's head is. That's going to be the competitor. That's going to be the winner. How could that not be just so crystal clear? And that's at a minimum, because there's one more level. But that is at a minimum. That is at a minimum who you want to be as a competitor. You definitely don't want to be fighting this. Trust me. Don't want to be rejecting this. You want to understand where the consumer's head is, and you want to be there. Number two, you don't want to just react to it and bounce around like a ping pong ball. That's not going to get you far. You will get taken out. Just like you're playing football, you will get taken out, and they will score on you. They will win. Now, the competitor, that's different. You want to understand where the puck's going, and you want to try to get there, be there. And by the way, in the best interest of who? Not you first, consumers first. If consumers win because of you, you will win. If consumers win because of you, you will win. Which means everybody wins, right? And then, of course, it's easy. There's the commander. And the commander is that unselfish person, and I hope that's you too. The agent who helps others get ahead of impending change. Bring others along with you in the industry. The ones who are the survivors, the contenders, take those survivors and those contenders and try to turn them into competitors and maybe even commanders. Some will listen, some won't. But the commander is the one that tries to better the industry by bringing others along with them. So think about that with respect to your office. But I will tell you this. The people around you in this industry right now, it is time that you stood up for what you know is right. And that is what is right is what the consumers believe this industry should be and how it should treat them. That is what's right. Trust me. The consumer who we serve is always right. And we should do our best in the context of doing it profitably. We have to be able to make a profit. The consumer who asks us to work for free may want great service, but it's not fair to ask us to work for free. But it is fair they ask us to work for fair compensation based on the value we provide and not to defend the old ways when there are better ways. And believe me, there are better ways. So let's start here. What is your position on the Sitzer decision? What is your position on the Sitzer decision? Want to give you 10 seconds to think about that. Do you feel like jury made a bad decision? You feel like the jury, that it should be appealed? Do you feel like it should be fought? Really? Well, if you do, you're in for a rude awakening, because then you will fight it and you will lose in moral. You'll lose in the lawsuits, the other ones that are being filed. You'll lose in the ones that are about to be filed. And eventually you will lose it all. That is what will happen. That decision didn't take place in 2 hours and 28 minutes. It took place in 90 minutes. I don't know if you know that, but the jury asked for the damages calculations graph in 90 minutes. In 90 minutes. They awarded $1.8 billion, which was then trebled. And they did it, and they made the decision to do it in 90 minutes, unanimously. Consumers have spoken. So you'll be dead in consumers' eyes if you defend the industry. Going to tell you that right now. Don't do it. And if you intend to do it, you need to resign from 72 Sold. If you intend to defend the industry, you need to be out of 72 Sold, because that is not what we will do. We are going to look at what consumers want, and we're going to craft profitable ways to deliver it, period. That's what 72 Sold will be. So if you're with 72 Sold, you will not defend traditional real estate. You will not defend what consumers won't want. So this is an example of what you do not want to do. And there are many statements out there. I'm just using one. One of NAR's statements right after the judgment was, it's going to be business as usual. Quote, this matter is not close to being final. Yep, let's fight them. Yeah, you bet. Let's fight those consumers. This matter is not close to being final, as we will appeal the jury's verdict. Yeah. In other words, the 8 consumers were wrong. I do want you to understand what that means. The 8 consumers were wrong. This verdict does not require a change in our rules. Yeah. Well, that's the stance you could take. Here's the stance you should take. So yesterday I was interviewed by a variety of different press. I have more interviews scheduled today. One of those was Fox News. And thank you, Jennifer and Cassie. Jennifer and Cassie stayed late at the office last night. Jennifer has many talents. Cassie has many talents, including putting makeup on me. So late last night at the office, they're putting makeup on me. This was a Zoom interview with Fox News. It already aired locally, and it might well air on Fox News channels around the country. I was informed it was distributed out nationally. So who knows, it could appear in your market. But the interview was 5-10 minutes, and you want to be really conscious of what you're saying. And I was very conscious of what I was saying to make it exactly what I believe and very magnetic to consumers, which, by the way, is exactly what I said, is exactly what I meant. So listen first, though, to why you need to position yourself outside this for consumers, not for the industry. Listen to how they lead this. This is Fox News. And I want you to listen to how they characterize. And fortunately, they don't mention here, they have in numerous other places, the names of the firms involved. They just mention 2 real estate firms. But listen to how they position this. This is what the consumer view is. This is what's out there in the news. This is what's going to stay out there in the news. And man, I'll tell you, you need to be on the other side of this, as you'll see I was here. And believe me, they only used one quote. Fine. It was fine. Just exactly. Probably couldn't have been a better quote in order to reflect the way I want my positioning to be seen.
National Association of Realtors is stepping down.
This after a federal jury ruled that some real estate agents and brokers conspired to inflate commissions. A federal jury in Kansas City found that the National Association of Realtors and 2 large residential real estate companies engaged in a conspiracy to inflate commissions, and they awarded $1.8 billion in damages.
This is a day of accountability, and this money is going to be returned to the homeowners. And it's just it's a straightforward refund case. Every homeowner that overpaid for buyer's commission, they get their money back. And our hope is that the National Association of Realtors will quit engaging in this illegal behavior.
The lawsuit challenged the way that commissions are paid in the real estate world. That's that 5 to 6% of the purchase price paid by the seller to the agent, who in turn shares a portion of it with the buyer's agent. The National Association of Realtors says it will appeal the verdict.
Greg Haig, the CEO of 72 Sold, told us that many people in the real estate industry are shocked by the judgment, but he thinks overall it will benefit consumers.
My perspective is that this will fuel a growth of innovation, a growth of competition, a growth of boutique firms and agents who start thinking in ways that are directed at benefiting consumers and base what they charge on the value proposition they offer.
Commission on home sales has come under scrutiny as housing prices have risen. A 5% commission on a median price home today is $21,550, nearly double the level a decade ago.
Milestone for Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport.
Yeah. So you caught the NAR statement that they put in there that, hey, we're going to appeal. I mean, guys, I hope you see, I know you do. Get on the consumer side of this. Get on the consumer side of this. Distance yourself from anybody who fights this. Anybody who fights and defends this industry in light of the consumer view is going to lose. I care about you. Get on the consumer side of this. I was at the office last night. Jennifer, I'm going to make you here. Let me see. Have we got Jennifer? We do. We've got Jennifer here on. I just made you a co-host, Jennifer. Jennifer, how late were we at the office last night? Late.
Too late. I don't know. I think we left sometime after 8.
Sometime after 8. You probably got home, what, 9 o'clock? And
Yeah.
What time did you turn in materials last night? I saw emails.
Oh, I don't know. 10:30, 11.
Last night. Yeah. But we see, number one, we want to be where consumers want us to be. We really do. We know our home selling program is the best in the world, but now we really need to address what we charge. We need to think about that in creative ways. So, Jennifer and I, burning the midnight oil. Number one on this article, Jennifer did a huge amount of research. My son Brian did a huge amount of research in this. Many others participated in this, and this was turned in late last night. Biggest, fastest judgment in business litigation history. Gives some of the background, and it actually has a third page to it as well. This will appear in newspapers all around Arizona, and it gave kind of a breakdown of what happened in the case. And I've written about it often, and then it also talked about what's going to happen in this industry and the flourishing of competition and those kinds of things. So we really are being very aggressive, I guess is the right way to say it, being very aggressive in terms of our positioning. I know our PR firm talked to them and they got them on the line 2 days ago, starting to make calls. And all of you, I guess here's really the takeaway, Jennifer. This is an opportunity for everybody on the call today to be the thought leader, to be the leader in change in their community, in their protected area, in their community. So talk about that, because I know Chris, your husband, is on that right away too, right?
Yeah. And honestly, guys, I would take some time and read this article. It was very well written. Greg spent a huge chunk of time personally writing a lot of it yesterday, and it'll be up on his blog. If you guys aren't familiar with greghaig.com, you can go check out this article, any other articles he's written. I think we list 5 or 6 on this article that talk about the same topic, where he's covered it in past writings. But definitely gives some good insight, and it'll help, prepare you guys and how to kind of message this when you get out in the world and have to deal with this with clients, and everyone's still trying to figure it out. So
yeah, and that's the big takeaway today. And I'm going to talk to you about some specific talk tracks for 5-10 minutes, and then bring Sarah on. But Jennifer, the big takeaway today is well, first of all, decide which side of the fence you're on. Yeah. Are you on the we're going to appeal it side of the fence, or are you on the side of the fence that I want to embrace what consumers think, what they want, and I want to do my best to try to be that person, to be that company? So
just remember, on the one side of the fence, there's a rabid dog that's ready to get you. So be very careful which side you're sitting on.
So true. So true. Yeah, so be very careful which. It's not hard today to know which side of the fence the rabid dog's on, right?
Yeah, listen for the barking and snarling, because it's out there.
Isn't it crazy that so many people in this industry, some who are, very significant, NAR, all that they choose the rabid dog side of the fence. I mean,
Yeah.
is one are the egos, the movie Maverick, where
Yeah.
the first version, where the commander of the boat said something, your ego's writing checks, your
Checks
body
your body can't cash. Yep.
can't cash.
Yep.
I think that may be happening in our industry. There's a lot of ego at play here, a lot
Yeah.
of pride at play here, when all that should be at play here is how can we better serve consumers? How can we see the light, go their way, and do it in the most creative and amazing way, and prosper by doing it, right?
Yeah.
So,
And it makes total sense because you're in a customer service industry. And if you're not serving your customers well, then they're going to go somewhere where they will be served well. I mean, that's just logical sense. And that's what everybody's doing in the marketplace right now. So
which means they're going to go to those who are on the non-rabid,
rapid dog, yes. Yes. And I think it's great that you're doing all of this write up and interviews and stuff regarding this, because I think so many agents, you mentioned it in your interview last night, are just not going to know what to say, or that not going to know enough about the topic that when they're addressed by a client, they're going to look like they're kind of behind the eight ball. And so I think you're totally on point on this, that you guys need to get out in front of it. Don't be afraid to talk about it, read up as much as you can so you can be knowledgeable, so that when your clients hit you with these questions, you're not standing there kind of like, I don't know, I'll find out, I'll check. And yeah.
Thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate you. And thank you for working so late last night. I saw the email come across, turning everything in at 10, 11 o'clock last night. So as I was sitting home having dinner about 9:30 last night, but
yeah, I was with you there.
yeah, I know you were, but thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate you.
Yep.
Okay, so let's go through some specific talk tracks real quickly. Not real quickly. I'll take a few minutes, and then Sarah, we're going to get you on here in like 5 minutes. So just to start getting you prepared, the biggest prep was to understand which side of the fence you're on, and then presuming you're on the side that I'm on and 72 Sold's on, which is the consumer side of the fence. Now, let's be a little more specific about how to handle some of the questions you're likely to incur. So you have a past home selling client who asks you, sees the news and says, well, when am I going to get my refund? I remember you sold my home, and I think there was a buyer agent involved. And I went and looked at my closing statement, and that was $12,800. And I was wondering how soon I'm going to get the check in the mail. So your answer there should be, in my opinion, something like this. So you must have read about what happened in Missouri. If you didn't read the specifics, this was a Missouri case, and it was on behalf of a group of Missouri home sellers who questioned, so, kind of a soft word. You don't have to, use any really hard-edged words here, who questioned, which is true, the way that commissions are charged and paid, and specifically questioned whether it's fair that sellers pay one commission that also compensates a buyer agent when there's one involved in the sale. And the jury decided that that was not fair, and that sellers who had compensated buyer agents, that it would have been fairer if the buyer had compensated their own agent, and that had not been kind of a charge or a cost to the seller. Now, that was a Missouri case, and if you're in Missouri, you will at some point likely get a notification that you're part of the class if you sold a home and paid a buyer agent commission. Anytime, I think that goes back to 2017, if you're in that group, you'll get a notification from the court, or actually the class action attorneys. They're the ones that actually notify the class as to what the refund looks like and how to apply for it. That particular case, though, was a Missouri case, and we're right now looking to see what's going to happen nationally, and then whatever state you're in, here in Arizona, here in Ohio, here in Idaho. But I'll tell you what, as it develops, how about I put you down and I'll keep you informed, because believe me, if there's a refund of the buyer agent commission you paid, I want to make sure you get it. I want to make sure you get it, and I'll watch it, and I'll put your name down on a list of many of my past home sellers who I also want to make sure they get it should that come about. That should be your positioning there. And by the way, genuine. You do put them on the list, and we'll see what happens, right? These other cases are national in scope, and so there may be a refund to those people. All right, so how about a current client asks you to offer no buyer agent commission in MLS? In my view, hey, you work for the client. You should explain to them that probably buyer agents in the market still are used to receiving a commission, and that this could, even as wrong as it may be, that a buyer agent would steer a buyer away from your home because they need to call me to talk about commission rather than seeing it in MLS. That could happen. I don't know. You don't know. They shouldn't, but they might. But the bottom line is, if you want me to put in $0 or $1 or whatever my MLS allows, and then put a note in private comments to contact me regarding any buyer agent commission, I will certainly do that. If they ask you to do it, you need to do it, but you just need to explain to them the impact of doing that, what that could mean. Then if you do it, I suggest you put in private comments. At this point, you probably haven't thought through what like a buyer agent offering might be. If it's offered individually, maybe it's a lower fee for a lower price, a higher fee for a higher price. I really haven't had time to get my arms around what structures like that might look like. So all I'd really say is that if you really, at this point, if it's something, if your buyer likes the house and you make an offer, then as part of the offer, and it'll depend on however that needs to be done in your state, but as part of the offer, a buyer can say anything they want. A buyer can put anything they want in a purchase offer. Nobody can ever stop a buyer from putting something in a purchase offer. So bottom line is just figure out what you think's fair and just make that part of the deal. Now, I know there's a lot of rules relating to that right now. Be assured those rules are going to change. But right now, you really have no alternative other than to just tell the buyer agent, if you're not going to be compensated by the buyer and you want the seller to pay all or some part of that, just make that part of the negotiation. But why don't you first see if your buyer likes the house and how much they're willing to pay? That's really where I would be on that right now. And then unrelated people ask you all about it. What's that all about, et cetera. And of course, I would just do the same talk tracks I did with respect to Missouri. This happened in Missouri. It's very likely to have nationwide impact. It's very likely that buyers will be paying their own agent and that sellers will be paying their own agent. So real quickly, before I bring Sarah on, a few things. Does your MLS allow you to offer $0, or do you still have to offer $1, et cetera? Here in the local MLS, it is one of the NAR affiliated MLSs. As of at least yesterday, I was told that you still have to put a monetary amount in, which means, I guess, $1. I'm sure that's going to change very quickly. Do any of your state licensing rules prohibit negotiating a buyer agent commission as part of the purchase price? Take a look at your state rules, et cetera, and see if they have spoken on this issue. Again, these are rules that are very likely to change if there are such rules, but you don't want to violate them now. So you're kind of between a rock and a hard place. If your client wants you to do it, you need to do it. Offer $0 or $1 or the least you can. If they want you to do it, as long as you've explained to them, the impact of, that might reduce showings. You still need to do it, but then what do you say to a buyer agent? So you just want to get to know what your state rules are now, knowing that they're likely to change if they have rules. And then does your MLS or any other organizational bodies or your broker have rules that would relate to the buyer agent actually negotiating their commission as part of the deal if they want the seller to pay it? So you want to look at that and understand that. Now, really the rule that matters are your state licensing rules. Those are the ones you just follow by the letter. everybody else you talk to, including your broker, because if it just comes down to brokerages still having their head in the sand and not understanding what's happening, then you need to enlighten them. But your state licensing rules, those are sacrosanct. You follow those to the letter. Okay, so questions to think about for you to research. And Sarah, I'll have you on in about 1-2 minutes here. Do you still want to play the real estate percentage gambling game? Right now it's a business. These are just things to think about. You get paid, usually a pretty large amount of money if the seller agrees to sell and the buyer agrees to buy, and nothing if the seller decides not to sell, doesn't take offers they should, and whatever. There's other ways that you can be compensated. That. Do you see more opportunity in buyer side real estate or list side real estate? My thoughts might surprise you. I'm a total list side guy, of course, that, but actually based on what's happened, I think there's going to be a whole creative upsurge of firms and agents who offer specialized buyer agent services, a la carte menus, and there's going to be a lot of people who make a lot of money over on the buyer side. Everybody on the buyer side's all bummed out that now, buyers aren't free and sellers aren't going to be paying it anymore. But quite frankly, I think that's an incredible opportunity to be creative and help buyers who need help and be paid fairly for doing it, right? Do you have a legal obligation to disclose the results of the commission lawsuit? If you're asked, you do, but this question came up to me the other day, like when you're now out on listing appointments. I think Chris Allen asked me the question. I think it's a really good question. Do you have a legal obligation to disclose the results of what's going on in the commission lawsuit? I don't think so, but I don't know. I mean, who knows? There's no decision on that. There's no interpretations on that. And all that would ever really matter in that is if you don't disclose and that's ever brought into question, the seller in the future would say, why didn't you tell me I didn't have to pay a buyer agent commission? You charge me X percent, and then I find out later after I sell and close my home that whole structure was in question. And I don't understand why you didn't tell me, because I would have just paid you your whatever, but not wanted to pay the buyer agent the whatever. So if it's me, I would be having that conversation on every listing appointment right now. That's me. No ruling that I'm seeing is saying you need to, but I would not keep this a secret. And then real quickly before I bring Sarah on, might you have legal liability for buyer agent commissions paid by your past clients? It's third circle. I wouldn't worry about that. A lot of agents are asking me, gosh, could I be liable in that regard? At this point, I would it's third circle, guys. Don't lose sleep over it. Nobody knows what's going to happen here, so we're just not sure. And then the number one thing to think about it and then I'll be back and we're going to do more on this on Monday. Teresa attended a webinar yesterday with quite a few really interesting takeaways as to what might happen, and we'll get into those Monday. Just want to make sure we have enough time for Sarah today and then Q&A. Number one thing to think about is what I talked about before, and that's the better, faster, cheaper rule. You want to be looking for ways to do business better, to do it easier, faster, more efficiently, and to do it at a lower cost where you make more money. Be an Amazon, be an Uber. Don't be a traditional real estate agent that's trying to hold the line on how much I can charge. Hold the line on how much I can charge. That is not the way you build a business. You look for ways you can be more efficient, and I have several slides on that, but I'm not going to do it today because I want to get Sarah on. I'll pick it up on Monday or Wednesday. But bottom line is you need to be thinking about what are some creative ways that I can deliver more value at a lower cost to me, using technology, using the telephone, using Zoom, using all the tools that exist now, but did not exist years ago. All these incredible tools I now have. How can I use those tools to do business more efficiently, creatively, in a way that it's not been done, so that I save time, I save money, I can charge less, and I can make more by doing it? That's where your head needs to be. And we're going to be talking about that probably on a lot of team calls every week for months, probably years to come. It is Friday, and that means, Sarah, we're so excited to get your take on all this, as well as what's going on in the national housing market. Good morning, Sarah. How are you? Quite the week it was, right?
It was a very busy week. Yes.
Yeah. So Sarah, I know you have been in numerous meetings with people that are some of the smartest people in real estate. Kind of hurt feelings that you never asked for a meeting with me. Just kidding. Sarah's amazing. We spent a lot of time together, but Sarah's been out with all her amazing, knowledgeable experts. They've been having meetings and conferences. So, Sarah, first of all, and I'm just object. By the way, that's a great looking red dress. You look really, that's
Thanks.
like you're ready for a date. That's really nice. And I see you've got an S on your necklace. That must stand for Sitzer.
Sure.
No,
There it is.
for Sarah. It stands for Sitzer.
Something like that.
Yeah. So, Sarah, what's the take out there?
Interesting. So I do have some slides. I have some market stuff. And then I know that you and I even, kind of briefly talked about when I had lunch yesterday with some people, in the MLS arena and analysts and talking about, and just their perspective was different than some of the things I've been following. And I was surprised by it. And that's one of the things I said to Greg. And I was like, I just didn't realize, considering we've been talking about this for so long, that they would be so surprised. You know what I mean? Like, I guess I just didn't. We've been talking about a really long time, and it's shocking so many people, and I'm a little disappointed and bummed out by that. I also, what Greg was talking about with looking at the consumers, when you think about it, all the conversation is just within our industry, and we have to keep having the conversation. This is what the consumers are seeing, because remember, consumer sentiment is literally the thing that drives everything. And if consumer sentiment says this, that's literally like, what is it? Perception is reality. Consumers perceive it as a thing. They make it happen. And that is kind of our situation right now. And not everybody was feeling like that, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
We've been talking, and industry has
years.
not been listening. I think that's the best way to. And
I like
now
that.
Everybody's in shock at what to me for 4 years has seemed a foregone conclusion. I've written about it numerous times. This was just going to happen. And yet everybody is like, oh my gosh, look at what happened. But so Sarah, why don't you bring up your deck and let us know what you got there? Got a lot of good data.
Do you want me to start with the market, or do you want to talk about the lawsuits stuff?
Let's start with the lawsuits, if that's what you've got up first, if that's okay. Let's do the lawsuits.
I can be flexible, so we can make this happen.
Okay, so yeah, let's start with that, and then we'll hit the market. Okay.
Perfect. And this kind of piggybacks onto what we were just talking about, the industry not being prepared. And so as we were, Inman was putting a lot of effort but just having continuous information out there, and they were doing kind of some informal surveys that they were putting out there. And this is what the industry told Inman. And, yes, it's a very small, very informal surveys, but both of them are pretty loud and clear that our industry did not expect the plaintiffs to prevail. And when they did, now there's the panic. And that's where, again, we're kind of like, why are you panicking? We've been talking about this, and yet there's the panic. And, one of the things that kind of goes with the panic is, and I know that we talked about this, NAR says, hey, I'm going to appeal, and I have another slide on this, but when they say they're going to appeal, no doubt, well, the attorney for the plaintiffs, as soon as the verdict came in, immediately filed a gigantic, and this one's even giganticer than moral, which I'm quite sure that's not a word, but whatever, he went out and filed another one because now there's precedent. We don't know what the attorneys or the courts are going to come out and saying, okay, these are now your terms that you have to apply, abide by. But here's the thing is, when you have all these other lawsuits coming, at what point, I don't know, it's just going to be tough with a lot of the appeals, I guess. And that's kind of where Rob Hahn was talking about, well, if there's appeals for this one, it doesn't make all these others go away. And that's where, when Anywhere and Remax settled, they settled the 3 existing cases. Now, I don't know what it's going to look like with this newest Gibson one, or, when you're named and things like that. And I know that that'll be something that'll be very interesting to watch on what happens with the companies that did settle and the ones that didn't, because there's going to be movement within the industry. A lot of people are expecting that.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is the ones that settled, and that's why personally I thought that was just such a smart move, is they didn't just settle out of the one that was at trial. They settled out of the other big one, the Morrill lawsuit. I mean, they did a global settlement that just covered everything. And I think Rob Hahn was the one that said in there that the big winners in this are the 2 that got out early. I think I saw him write that somewhere, right?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Because they are. And, when we're looking at this, and all the things that go on with the appeal process, the appeal bonds and needing to be able to show that they're good for the dollars. And we're talking about, civil suits are automatically trebled, and, or class, was it that they're class action, or was it that it was antitrust that makes it automatically trebled?
It's antitrust. It's not class action. Antitrust is treble damages, and that's what pushed it up. Okay, so go ahead.
So we have all these things, conversations happening within the industry. And then there's more and more reports that are coming out that are impacting how the consumers are seeing us. And even the data that, okay, if they do an appeal or there's more cases, there's more and more information that keeps coming out. This is one that just came out only a week, 2 weeks ago. And it's showing that, for the most part across, and this is just grabbing a bunch of big cities, but for the most part across the country, roughly, 98% or more are charging at least 2%. And that is showing the consistency or that kind of regularity. And it also shows on the chart on the right that when homes are offered, or when listings are offering less than 2%, they have fewer page views, they have more days on market, and they have a lower likelihood of sale. And that's very powerful.
Yeah, and that is, remember I talked to you, like if you're existing sellers, talk about, hey, I don't want to offer a buyer agent commission anymore. That's fine. And if I'm them, I might choose to take the risk on fewer showings and do the same. But you should point out to them that statistics do show